Hey, good morning, Las Vegas fruit lovers. I want to give you another option for mulberry as we're talking, and I've stepped back a little bit from this tree to give you an idea of how it can fit into a landscape. This is Shangri-La, and I really like this tree. Shangri-La is a crossbred or a hybrid variety. It was developed in Florida, and I can't remember if it was specifically developed with two varieties or if it was a seedling that come up at the nursery. But anyway, it was developed in Florida and has some real nice characteristics. It's one of the most beautiful of the mulberry trees, in my opinion. And matter of fact, I think it's just if it didn't fruit, I might put it right here anyway because it's just a beautiful tree. And one thing that's characteristic of it is these large spade leaves, and these will get even larger as this tree grows and matures. And it's just a stunner in the yard, and I've got it in the front yard where it can continue to grow. And this tree can get, from what I've seen, 25 foot pretty easily, and can develop a canopy, but you can see from the growth pattern of it that it's a little bit different than the typical mulberry trees that we're used to seeing in Las Vegas. And the way that it suckers and puts on growth at the bottom, this thing might be able, if you didn't keep it trimmed as a topiary or in a tree form, it may even grow in a bush form. I don't know, but I'll use those things down there. I've got a couple of air layers set to propagate the tree, but I'll use that for propagation, and plus they'll even put off some fruit. Mulberries produce fruit on new growth, and right there is a mulberry coming off of that little shoot there. So the fruit on the hybrid part, I mean, not remembering specifically what it was crossed with, it obviously was crossed with a Pakistani, because the Pakistani also has these large leaves, but what is fruit-wise different with this guy is it produces a fruit that's in between. The Pakistani produces a great big long fruit, and this one produces, there's a nice one right there. This one produces a large fruit that is characteristic of both the Persian types and the Pakistani, and it's become one of my favorites here. I don't know. Every time I taste of this fruit, which I come out and pick a handful off this almost every morning. This was the first tree I had to ripen, by the way, with mulberry, and that was in mid-April. But when I come out to get the newspaper, I'll come over and start my breakfast and let's get an ant or two off of there. And it's a delightful fruit. It has a nice berry flavor to it. And whenever I eat it, I say, gosh, I like that better than World's Best. And then I'll go around and have a World's Best, and I say, well, maybe I don't. They're both a delicious fruit. But anyway, it's a nice sized fruit, and it's quite delicious. And like all mulberries, if you pick it at a different stage of ripeness, it's going to have a little bit of a different flavor. And I think, if you wait like that one was, it's got a real good berry flavor to it. I really like that. If you pick it a little bit earlier, where it has a little bit of a red tint to it, it has a little more acidity to it. It's a little bit tart. Well, I think I like them that way. I like tart fruits, so that is my favorite. But it's not producing as much fruit as World's Best yet. But this tree, let me show you, has just been in the ground for a year. I planted this, in fact, on the day of Rachel Klein's plant sale last year. One of our friends and members here in the group, Don Olson, brought this tree up for me from Arizona, and it was about a 3 or 4 foot tall whip, about the size of my index finger or so, and I had the hole already dug, knowing that he was bringing that up. So the day that we finished the plant sale, I put that in. So that was right around the first day of April, and it grew that first year about as tall as it is now. And it actually produced a few fruits, but if you hear that mockingbird in the background, that dude got all the berries off of it that year and didn't share one of them with me. But anyway, I pruned it back just to shape it up and to give it a little structure. I pruned it back to right here over the winter. So I pruned it back to 3.5, maybe 4 foot, let's call it. And it has put on already, and here we are right at the 1st of May. It has put on almost 3 foot worth of growth, and I expect that it'll get another 3 or 4 foot of growth at least out of it during this summer. And mulberry, you can keep it pruned and keep it in a shape that you like, or you can just let it go crazy. I'll keep this one shaped up somewhat and keep it pruned, but I am going to let it get to be a rather large tree because I want some shade up here. Who knows, in a few years I might be able to have something growing around here other than a lantana and a sago palm. But Shangri, nice tree, nice fruit. I'm looking forward to more fruit off of this next season. And when they're really ripe, you touch them, they'll just fall right off. And man, I'll tell you, there's a dandy tasting fruit. I still don't think it's as good as Black Persian, but Black Persian will be coming in another month or so. So right now, it definitely is better than Black Persian because I'm not eating any Black Persians and I'm eating these every day. You can find Don Olson's Facebook page at Green Life by Seamus O'Leary. I think there's another Seamus O'Leary's tropical fruit trees, and he makes a trip up here occasionally, and he has some nice varieties that we can't find locally, Shangri being one of them. He carries a real nice selection of those trees and good quality trees too. Get some different varieties. You don't have to have that great big massive front yard tree that is going to take up your whole front yard and be 30 foot in diameter. Yeah, that one's going to be tart. Well, that's real good. Shangri, another option for you for mulberry, which everybody that loves fruit should be growing at least one mulberry tree. I like them enough that I've got 4. I'm going to find a place to put another one. Hope that helps you. See you next time.